Okay, so today we'll be covering how to create a drawing similar to this. So the simple process of doing this is a diagram. Essentially, you take a section cut of your model, pick a view, share that view, render it, get your line weights, clean that up, and then export that and post-process that in Illustrator and Photoshop. So let's start. So what you will first need a Rhino model, and picking where you want to have your section. And a quick tip is to use the command called clipping plane, which allows you to make a section through your model without having to necessarily cut that section in Rhino. So I use it to really make sure I have a clear section, or make sure the section I want conveys what I want to convey in my section. And then what I do is, since the clipping plane does not allow you to actually cut the section, I make a line along that clipping plane. So essentially, I create a plane from that. Trim what you don't want, which looks something like this. Here I've separately extracted that section. So then now the next thing to do, once you have your section, is 2D section of that. So what I do is I click on my object, which is my model, and then I type in the command section, which allows you to get a section cut of that object. So as you can see here, whatever that plane touches in your model, it gives you an outline of that section. And I'll leave that section aside for later. So now the next thing to do is, so we're going to be sharing that model. So how you do that is, there is a script you run, which you can find if you type in isometric in Rhino, and if you scroll down, you'll find this script, which allows you to physically share the model and not have to actually type isometric in Rhino and pick a view. So in order for you to use that, is you type in the command macro editor, and thing to note is you have to make sure you're on the top view in Rhino as your viewport in order for that to work. If not, it's not going to work. So you run that script, you essentially press play, and it shares that for you. So now that you have your shared model, you have to. So now you have a shared model. You have to then. So next step is to render that view and add line weight. So what I'm using to render is V-Ray, but you can find out videos about V-Ray, but if you want another alternative to do that, there are presets that you can follow in Rhino, using Simple Bright, which gives you a rendered image, which then you can take a screenshot or print, or you can actually just as a setting, use a render setting. But in the end, you'll need a rendered base so that you can underlay it with your line weight. And here I've just quickly shown the rendered base I did, just default rendering. And so now the next step is to make 2D. So select the model select the objects you want to make 2D, and type in the command make 2D, which will give you essentially 2D line work. And here I've done that already, and okay, so now we bring back that 2D section we did earlier, and as we can see, if we over with the make 2D, it should perfectly align with your make 2D, and once you have that, you can underlay your rendered view so that you can match those two in post processing. Okay, so now so next thing is just post processing, exporting that, touching up your image on Photoshop, and then line work on Illustrator. So you select your line work, and export select, file export selected, name it. The way we get that image to be sort of what I'm calling a night rendered image is by simply inverting the image itself. So how you do that is you go into Image, Adjustments, Invert, and here you can see it churns this image, it inverts this image, and what you can do now is play with brightness, contrast, have it play with the settings. The next step is to change your line work from black to white. I simply set my line work first in black, and then I select all my line work, change it. Now it's just a matter of fine-tuning this drawing, filling your section cut, adding a ground. You can get creative with how you do this. I've added a gradient to give a little bit more of a pop to this image, and you can do that by adding a gradient on top of your drawing, and you can just select the rectangle tool, do your gradient and a boundary, the gradient tool, and this will give you this drawing. So thanks for watching.